Okay. Ma, listen. Yesterday we have been talking about the boot process of computer. What is the waking up of computer or the power on process of computer? It's called the boot process. We have seen that there are some special terms. BIOS, basic input output system. Then CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Then BIOS, okay. Then force, power on circuit. These were the terms we have seen yesterday. Now we move on. Then primary boot process, secondary boot process. The boot process happening from CMOS chip. Sorry, BIOS chip is called the primary boot process. The process happening from the hard drive is called the secondary boot process. Then, post. Okay, post is power on circuit. It checks everything. It checks whether there is a keyboard, whether there is a mouse, whether there is hard disk, whether there is RAM, whether there is a properly working connection to any printer. In case of a connection, it searches for the proper drivers. Then there are two stages. One is primary boot process. The other one is the secondary boot process. The first one is the primary boot process happening from the CMOS or BIOS. The secondary boot process happens from the hard drive. Then secondary bootloader loads the operating system. It may be Windows, it may be Linux. In our computers, the secondary boot process starts when we choose the operating system. It may be Linux, it may be Windows. It goes to the proper operating system. It's called a secondary boot process. Then, okay, if there is an error, in case the computer does not boot properly, in case the memory is loose, in case the memory is damaged, it will send out beep messages called post messages, power on self test messages, okay, or simply error messages. Okay, booting process. Then steady short beep, whereas these were the previous coding. Nowadays many computers do not have even an internal speaker. In the previous computers they provided a default speaker inside the CPU itself, so that audio will be emitted, whereas nowadays they are not providing anything for cost cutting reasons. They are reducing the cost and reducing the number of components inside the computer. Therefore these may not work with all computers. Most of the motherboards we have right now do not have this facility. They do not know how to emit a signal, whereas steady short beep, beep 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 beep, this is for power supply problem. Steady long beep is also for steady long beep. It's also for power supply problem. Steady short beep or steady long beep. Then long continuous beep. Beep, then beep, beep, long beeps. Long beeps are meant for memory failure. RAM may be loose. RAM may be damaged. RAM may not be present at all. These are the reasons why steady long beeps are emitted. RAM problem. Whereas most of the computers do not emit any signal nowadays because there is no internal speaker inside the CPU. Then one long beep, one short beep. It may be for video card failure. Video cable may be damaged. One short beep followed by one long beep. It may be for video card failure. Then BIOS settings. What do we mean by BIOS settings? You all already know. We have basic input output system and we press del. Normally we press del or F2 or in some other computers we press escape for reaching BIOS setting. We can set the date, time, and then boot device priority. Boot device priority. Which one should boot first? Maybe our pen drive, maybe our hard disk, maybe some other device. We choose the boot device priority in BIOS setting. Okay, BIOS is only a RAM. Sorry, BIOS is not CMOS. The changes are saved in CMOS. CMOS is a RAM. CMOS is a RAM. For keeping the RAM in power on position, always it's kept in power on position by the use of CMOS battery. When the CMOS battery is gone, it may always require settings to be reset. All settings, it may require all the settings to be reset when we boot the computer, because it does not remember anything. When the CMOS battery is gone, computer becomes Gajini. It does not remember any enemy. You have to provide it with the photos of whosoever is the target. Similar to that, whenever the computer boots without CMOS setting, without CMOS battery, you have to provide all the settings, date, time, boot event priority. All those things are to be reset. Okay, done. Thereafter, we go on to BIOS settings, main, advanced power. All these have already been covered in practical. Therefore, we are not going to extensively cover all these things. Date and time are found in main. Advanced, it may be boot configuration, it may be something else. Power, when the computer reboot, what should be done? Then boot configuration. This is the most important thing for our practical, because we wanted to boot Linux, we wanted to boot Windows. We have chosen pen drive as the boot source for uh, for installation of Windows and Linux. Then security, we have not gone into security. You may set a password in BIOS for accessing the computer. It's the security option. Exit. You may save and exit, discard changes and exit. Two options are provided. These are the BIOS screens, typical BIOS screens. It may not agree on all computers. These are the typical BIOS screens we encounter in normal computers. It may vary from computer to computer, whereas the settings are similar. Done. Now we come to some of the problems found in computers and some of the local medication we can offer. That is how we can simply fix our problem. One is when the computer does not boot at all, does not load fast, or does not open a particular program, or does not print. All these may happen often. You simply do not have to worry about it. You unplug the power cable, wait for a few minutes, or you use some screwdriver to short circuit the SMPS connection pins. SMPS pins, which is due to static electricity. Then reconnect the computer, power on, it will work. This is the brute force approach. It is you simply remove the power cable, then reinsert the power cable. The computer will start functioning normally. Then when the computer is slow, you may be having internet connection on, and the computer may be taking some data for update, Windows update. It may become slow. This is one reason. This is one of the most common reasons for slowdown of a computer. That is the reason why we do not want to go into the internet with Windows on, Windows power on, because we have 30 computers. Our data consumption may be large, our computers may become enormously slow. We don't want all those things. Therefore, we do not go into the internet. Then there may be some other problem. Hard disk or RAM capacity may not be sufficient. Even that causes some slowdown of the computer. Then misbehavior of computer. That is, you provide some command, it does not respond. This is misbehavior. For this also, you have to simply restart the computer. Done. After, when the PC does not boot, there may not be much hard problems. Power cable may be loose, or some VGA connection. You may be missing that. You may be thinking that everything is powered on, whereas VGA connection may be loose. Okay, you have to simply check for loose connection when the computer does not boot at all. Then long bit computer hards, RAM problem. You remove the RAM, erase, you use an eraser to clean the RAM chip, then reinsert the RAM, it will work. Then boot media error. Hard disk is in problem. Hard disk may not be connected, or hard disk may be damaged. These are the two conditions in which boot media error occurs. Or there is no operating system in the hard disk. Even then, such an error happens. Then boot halted due to wrong settings. When the BIOS settings are wrong, you may press F9. Normally F9 is meant for default load, default setting. Then F9 is meant for fail safe default setting. Then you load default settings through F9, save the settings, go back. Then PC does not switch on, power cable problem. You have to verify the power cables first. Then BIOS settings are lost after each power off. It means CMOS battery is not working. You have to replace the CMOS battery. Printer does not work. There is a services menu under control panel, and there is a service called printer spooler. You have to ensure that the printer spooler does work. Okay. for which you have to go to services menu, start print spooler. The computer will begin to work. Whereas this problem does not occur in Windows 10. It was happening in Windows 7. Whereas nowadays this problem has been addressed by Microsoft itself. Windows 10 does not have such problem. Windows 7 was often having this problem. Done. Reboots while working. RAM may be damaged. When the PC reboots of its own accord while working, RAM may be damaged. We have to replace the RAM chip. Internet connection is slow. It may be taking Windows updates in the background. We can't do anything for this. Then you cannot install a program. Right click upon it, run as administrator because some privileges may be needed. Therefore, you have to right click upon the program, run it as administrator for a successful installation. Then paper jam error. When the printer has some problem, the computer will display paper jam error. The printer is not properly functioning. There is a paper jam in the tray. You have to remove the papers and then restart the printer. Power off the printer and restart the printer. With this, we close the theory class.